Well, hello, friends. Hello, neighbors. This is Sandra Onal here on Friends and Neighbors with my friend and guest co-host, Regina Howard.
Yes, ma'am.
Welcome.
Thank
We're
you.
always delighted to have you, but we are missing Miss Sherry Tatum,
Yes,
and you
we
come
are.
back soon, you hear? But today we have a wonderful guest with us, and she's got an incredible testimony. Not only is she a Christian woman, an entrepreneur, but she is a wife and a mama of 5 boys, y'all. 5 boys. That's 10, but 5. So welcome, Amy Walker,
Thank you.
to the program.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here with both of you.
We're glad you're here.
Yes,
Glad you're here.
we are. Well, being a wife is already one hat, a mama of 5 boys, and having the love of our lives with Jesus Christ as a Christian, and then an entrepreneur, consulting. You do consulting for small businesses
I
as
do.
well. So, let's see, what other hat?
And you now have 8 dogs.
Yeah,
8 dogs.
I'm trying to get her to take one of my puppies because my dog just had puppies, and so I have 8 dogs at my house, 1 cat.
Wow.
5 boys. We did just get rid of our goats, and so
Oh my God, you're
I
kidding
had to
me.
simplify. I was like,
You got a lot
something's
going
gotta go.
on.
Well, I am glad you're here
Yes.
Thank
without
you.
any of that, and we
I
can just
know.
relax and
I
talk.
know,
and
nobody's gonna like wipe something gross on me or hit me with a lightsaber. This is great.
Oh, I love it. How old are your boys, by the way?
So my baby is going to have a birthday in about a week and a half,
Okay.
and he will be 5. And then I have a 6-year-old, I have a 10-year-old, a 12-year-old, and a 15-year-old that has got his learner's permit and has started learning to drive. So I sit in the car like this a lot.
Right,
White
right.
knuckles, breathe deep, hope for the best.
It's amazing each season of life, right? And you
Yes.
are right there at that whole spectrum.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot
God
of
bless
fun.
you. It is.
Thank
It
you.
seems like you do have a lot of fun at
Never
home.
a dull moment.
That's
That
right.
it's never boring and it's never quiet, but it's always good.
That's right.
Good.
That's right. When it gets too quiet, it gets a little eerie, right? I imagine.
Well, if it's quiet, something's happening that should not be happening, and there's a reason why it's quiet. They are on the, they're doing something stealthy that's probably not appropriate. So.
I love it.
I like that
Oh
stealthy.
my goodness, that is good. Well, I'm delighted to have you here, and I
Thank
wanted you to
you.
share a little bit about your life, your testimony. I look back, and we've had some time to talk a little bit and see. You know, sometimes life isn't pretty.
Right.
It can get messy, right?
sure
And
can.
it can be very. I mean, even the word pretty, life isn't pretty. It's beyond that. I know that you have gone through some very hard times, but the awesome side of it all is that God has done some miraculous healing. So can you share with our viewers about your life and just let's brag on God?
Absolutely. Well, I was very blessed to be born to a family that I had parents who loved me, parents who loved God, and parents who taught me that God loved me. And I think that's about as good of a start as you can ask for.
Right.
You know, when you look at the world and how many people didn't have that beginning. So I'm grateful for my beginning. And it was, like you mentioned, it wasn't without pain or without challenge. When I was 4 years old, I was sexually abused. And it was, I went through the trauma that all abuse victims go through, where I would be sad and I didn't really understand why I was sad. You know, 4 years old is too young to
Yes.
process, really. I remember my dad told me that it was a boy from church that had abused me. So my dad told me that he was sick, that we needed to forgive him, that we needed to pray for him. And at 4, I just didn't know what that meant or really comprehend it at all. And so I had times where I remember being in elementary school, and it was back in the days when we walked home from school. Now, if you're a kid, you ride the bus even if you live next door to the school. It seems like, but we walked, you know, it was a walk.
And uphill both ways.
We walked past a walnut tree every day, and we'd load up our pockets with walnuts and eat them on the way home. It was good times walking home from school. But I remember one time there was a man outside of the school that was honestly, was probably someone's dad. You know, he was probably there to pick up his children. But to me, he was a threat. And so I hid in the bushes. And I hid there for about an hour until my mom came walking around, you know, walking up to the school, and then I felt safe enough to go home. And so I had those moments. There was a year where there was a teacher at the school, and I'd heard rumors that he looked down girls' shirts, and so I was scared to be in his class. And it was just challenging. And I remember in the 4th grade, I was having a rough year with friends, and girls can be not so nice all the time. And it was a tough year, and I just cried a lot, and I felt really sad, and it felt like this part of me that was a defining part of my life, that I had been abused, I had been molested, and it kept coming up, repeated, and just, it was a struggling year. So at the age of 10, I got on my knees and I turned to the Lord and I said a simple child's prayer. Heavenly Father, help me feel better. Help me figure out how to be happy, and help me not to be sad and not to be scared. And it was a very simple prayer. And in that moment, the Lord answered my prayers, and he answered really clearly. You know, not every prayer that we get is answered super clearly, but that one was. And I needed to write a letter of forgiveness to my abuser. So I did, you know, 10 years old. I remember it was late at night, and I got a piece of paper and I wrote, you know, I hope that your life is okay, and I hope that you are doing good, and I forgive you, and I'm going to be okay. And you know, he was a young man at the time, and I hate to think the thought that his life was ruined forever, but I wrote that letter of forgiveness, and then I went to bed, and overnight I experienced that miraculous healing that can only come through Jesus Christ. That, you know, to go from a place of being afraid and scared and sad and thinking about it on a regular basis, to the point where I really don't think about it that often. And I don't share this story that often. In fact, I haven't shared that story in many years. But what I think is bringing it to light right now is there's so many stories in the news right now of women who have been through sexual abuse, sexual harassment, men who have misused their positions of power. And when the Me Too, the hashtag Me Too started coming up, I looked at that and I thought, oh yeah, me too. But I hadn't thought about it in years. It's not a part, it is a part of my story, and I'm grateful that at the age of 10, I had an experience where I just couldn't doubt. You know, I just could not doubt that the Lord was real in my life.
Were you going to church regularly?
Yeah.
So God was filling in, and to me it's amazing that even at 10, at any age, that connection between heart connection. Your heart as a 10-year-old connected with the sovereign God's heart. So that fear, that next morning was gone.
It was gone. The next morning, I mean, I didn't have that fear. I didn't have that sorrow. I didn't have that pain.
That heaviness.
The heaviness was gone. It was just light, and I remember feeling like I had wings, you know, like unstoppable. And I think the Lord is so good and so powerful. And I think oftentimes in church, you know, and I did grow up in a church-going family. I was in church every single week for 3 hours, trying to sit still, doing my thing. And we grew up that way. But sometimes in church, we really focus a lot on Jesus Christ being for the sinners. And what I would love to say to the women who have been through similar situations, it's not your sin. It's not your sin.
Oh, powerful.
But God is so powerful that his healing is for you. He took care of our sorrows. He took care of our weaknesses. He felt every pain that we feel. And now we have that opportunity to just lay it at his feet.
And takes away the guilt.
Yeah.
Because it's not your sin. I love that.
No, it was not my sin.
It's not your
So
sin.
don't take ownership of it.
4-year-old girl, that had nothing to do with me.
As you grew up older, and we have about 3 minutes before the commercial break, but you know, when I read your story, the one thing that kept resonating in my heart is, the older you get, I mean, did you think back and say, God, why did you allow this? Were you angry at him at any point?
You know, I did not go through that experience. And I don't know exactly what kept me free from the anger, but I wasn't. You know, I was so young when it happened.
Right.
And I was so young when I forgave. And I think that's part of it, that forgiveness was, I mean, I was 10. You know? So
but
I
it's
had,
power. It seems like it was so liberating and so powerful that it's like those chains are.
But then I think too, because you were so young, children are forgiving.
yes,
Children are just
resilient.
and resilient.
Yeah.
And so I believe that during that time and your willingness, because when you went to him and prayed, that was your willingness. I want this. And because you accepted it and you received it and you moved forward.
But
think
can
that
I
makes
say
it-
one thing? I have learned that me forgiving God is an important process because
There you
sometimes
go.
life is hard.
Yes.
Yes.
And, you know, being a woman, I've gone through, I do have 5 children, but I've also gone through several miscarriages. And there were other moments in my life that were hard where you kind of look at it and you say, Lord, why is this happening?
Right,
You know,
right.
I'm doing all the things you asked me to do. I am really trying here. I'm giving it everything that I can, and yet still this life is hard, and still I feel alone, and still I feel forsaken. And I've learned that when I just say, you know what, God, I'm a little upset right now, and I'm throwing a little bit of a tantrum, but I love you, I forgive you, please forgive me.
Yes.
It's like all of a sudden he goes, thank you for giving that over. Thank you
Right.
for recognizing, and let's be friends.
Yes.
That's right.
You know, the communication just
Right.
opens right back up. But sometimes I think even though we know in our minds how great the Lord is, sometimes we still have to embrace the fact
Exactly.
that we're in a human state. We
Exactly.
have some level of separation where we don't get to
That's
hug
right.
him every day.
Right.
And sometimes we just need to forgive, ask him to forgive us, and forgive that we're imperfect and we
Yeah.
sometimes get lonely.
Yes.
Seeking him and finding him, he will then find us right where we are at that same spot. Well, we will be back. We've got a quick commercial break to go to, but we will be back with Amy Walker, and we're going to talk a little bit more about what God has been doing in her life now. You will not want to miss this. Thanks so much, and we'll be right back.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, inventor of MyPillow. Thanks to your support, you've helped make MyPillow become one of the fastest growing companies in America. Over the last 12 years, you've helped MyPillow create thousands of jobs right here in the USA.
When I got my pillow, I'm asleep almost immediately. I stay asleep at night and I wake up more well rested in the morning.
That's why I invented MyPillow. My patented fill adjusts to your exact individual needs and helps keep your neck supported and aligned. I'm interrupting this commercial right now. Retailers have canceled MyPillow, and to thank you for your support, I'm gonna pass the savings directly on to you. For example, you get my 6-piece towel sets, regular $109.99, now only $44.98, or MyPillow dog beds for as low as $19.99 with your promo code.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit mypillow.com.
Hello and welcome back. We are still talking here with Amy Walker about how amazing and how deep and how wide God's love is for us. Amy, thank you again for being here with us.
You're welcome.
And as
I'm grateful to be here.
Oh, we're delighted. And, you know, as I was sitting here thinking, you know, God gave you 5 boys. He didn't give you a girl.
Which, thank heavens, because I don't know how to braid hair, and I'm not that fashion savvy. So.
And with your story and your heart, how do you nurture your boys to be protectors of women?
You know, I don't know that I have all the answers figured out, but I can tell you what I do. I think a lot of times when boys are small, we have a tendency to say boys will be boys. And I don't do that. If my boys do something that is unkind or it's inappropriate or it could be threatening to a girl, even if they didn't perceive it that way, I talk to them about it. I don't yell at them about it. I really explain to them. I say, you know what, when you did that, that made me feel uncomfortable. And if you did that to a little girl in your class, she would feel uncomfortable. And we don't want people to feel that way. And as they're getting older, my oldest is getting quite cute, actually, and girls are starting to take notice.
Getting a lot of calls.
And I've told him, I'm like, just so you know, I am the only woman in your life. You have no experience with girls, so you should take my advice. And he actually does.
That's
Bless his heart.
great.
He does. So we have conversations about how to be respectful towards girls and how to make sure that if the conversation is going in a direction that's not, that he's the one who has the courage to step up and take that a different direction. And, I think sometimes in the Christian community, we believe in girls being righteous and not being tempting and dressing modestly. And sometimes that can come across as, well, Bathsheba was there and David saw and looked, but David looked. And so I think we do have to make sure that we're careful, that we teach our boys accountability, that I do hope that my boys choose girls who love the Lord and who love and respect their bodies and present a good outward image. But if they're around girls that don't, it's no excuse. They're responsible for their thoughts. They're responsible for their actions. And honestly, if we look at everyone through the eyes of Christ and through the eyes of the Lord, they're daughters of God.
That's
and
right.
And my sons are sons of God. And I hope that they can always have that perspective. And then, you just knock on wood and you teach and you try and you do the best that you can and you pray a lot.
That's right.
And hope for the best.
And that is powerful as a mom. And I have a 5-year-old little girl, and that is powerful because as a mom, I try to teach her as well. This isn't appropriate. This is not appropriate. We have to take responsibilities as parents, and then the children have to have accountability partners, and I am her accountability. And I'm thankful for the ministry that you're doing within your family, because Regina said this earlier in the day. Ministry begins at home, and then it goes straight out. So thank you for sharing that. And
You're
beyond being a mom and having puppies and everything that you're having,
You get a puppy,
I know,
Regina.
everybody gets a puppy. Call the show and ask for a puppy.
Puppies for everyone.
But
Not really.
I'm
Not
just
really.
joking.
Don't call. There's not that many, and they all have homes but one.
But you are also an entrepreneur.
Yes.
So when did you open up your first business?
I got the bug to be outside of the box from a young age. And so I started my first direct sales business when I was 21. I had just graduated from school, just had my first baby. My husband and I got married while we were in college, and I walked for graduation with a pregnant belly. So a little untraditional or unconventional, but actually, it is traditional, right? That's the way we used to do it.
That's
Baby,
right,
marriage,
yeah.
college, all at the same time. So I started my first business when I was 21 and, created results and created success. And then I feel like my career, I've actually run 7 different businesses, and every one has served its purpose and come at the right time and has been a positioning piece to get to the next place. And I feel like I've been very blessed in business and very guided in business. And I absolutely love working with small business owners. I've done corporate training, I've done that scene, but when you work with a small business owner, their business represents their family's dreams and their family's mission. And I love seeing these entrepreneurs and business owners that I get to work with. They're good people. And when we can get their business in order so that they have financial freedom, they have time freedom, because now they have a team and they're not married to the business. They can then plug in with their families and they can truly live their life in accordance with their values and their belief, and they go do good things. I have a client right now who is running a program in Haiti. It's an amazing, she got her business in order, and now she's running this program in Haiti where they have a community, and they are creating jobs within this community, and they're creating education, and they're teaching about hygiene, and they're teaching about health, and they're educating the girls about even just their bodies and their reproductive system.
That's great.
And they're creating jobs. They have people who are in charge of trash control, and they've got people that are donating animals, and now they're raising animals. And so they're not just giving handouts, everyone's working, and they're building homes for each other, and they're elevating this whole community. And that's what I love about working with Christian business owners, because when we have the resources and we have the time, then we can go out and we can be the influencers and we can make the change.
That's right. And you're doing a lot of consulting with that now. So that springboard. Now, how many businesses so you started again. Let me back up. But you started at 21. And then did you start another, or was this just?
So I did direct sales for a few years, and I won't mention names, but I will say that we got to drive pretty pink cars.
I love it.
And then I did a graphic design business. I ran a program called Women of Faith and Strength for a few years. It was a beautiful program. I had an organization called A Celebration of Real Beauty, where we promoted healthy body image in women and girls. I ran a sales team for a large corporate, or for a large coaching company. They did more relationship and life coaching. And then I got the inspiration, and it was 6 weeks away from having baby boy number 5. I was very pregnant, and I was very tired, and I was very excited for maternity leave. And God said it was time for me to start this business. And I cried for a few days, honestly, like, really? But I just got to the place where everything's running well. But I was obedient and I listened, and it's been a huge leap of faith, but it has been a huge blessing for my family. It allowed us to be able to move to Georgia. We could pick anywhere in the world that we wanted to live, really, and a lot of prayer and just asking God where He wanted us to be, and He plopped us in the middle of nowhere, Northeast Georgia. We live in a town of 300 people.
Oh, wow.
But it's been amazing for my family. Yeah. They're growing and experiencing leadership opportunities that I don't think they would have had we stayed where we were. So it allowed my husband to be able to come home and work with me, and he runs the business with me, so we see each other all the time, and our offices are right next to each other, so it's like, hey babe, did you get my email?
Well, that's so wonderful. The families you all can work well together, and then you're also overflowing your heart for building small private-owned family businesses.
Yeah.
With others. So, and now you do a lot of consulting with that. So that's what you and your husband do together.
We do. My oldest son was telling me a couple weeks ago that he would never want to do what I do because it sounds too stressful. And I said, why? It's so much fun. He said, you just deal with people's problems all day. I was like, no, I don't. And he said, yes, you do. People come and they say, this is what's not working in my business, and then you fix it. And I went, yeah, you're right on that one. So, but that's what we do. Right. We help. Small business owners are passionate about what they do. You know, they started the company because they absolutely love what they do. They love their service, or they love their product, or they have a vision for a lifestyle for their family. But most small business owners are not MBAs.
Right.
You know, most MBAs are working inside of a big corporation. So they're lacking the systems and the structure to really make the company work well. And so we get to go in and play with their problems, I guess.
I love that, because they do have a heart for what they've decided to start to do, and then they do get overwhelmed. And I have a lot of friends that are entrepreneurs, and they're the visionaries. And
yes.
Wait, how do you do the details? How do you get the logistics done? So that's really awesome.
You mean just because I can see it in my mind doesn't mean it's going to happen that way?
That's right. Come on.
You got to have the strategy in place. And I love doing that. I love building someone else's dreams. I have a client that I was just talking to a couple weeks ago. He's a massage therapist and has this amazing technique that, I mean, you spend an hour on that man's table and like your posture is different and your muscles are all aligned. It's amazing. Yeah, I'll pick you up afterwards. I know he has offered to come at my events and just work behind the scenes. But we were talking a couple weeks ago, and he just said, you know, every goal that we set this year has happened. They've paid off all of their debt. Good. They have created this amazing platform where now he's mentoring other massage therapists, and now he's blessing their businesses, and his family is close and tight, and they spend time together. And half the time when we're doing our calls, his little daughter's talking in the background on his end, and I've got I have one son who likes to make surprise appearances whenever I'm on video conferences. He'll sneak in and be like,
Hi. That's
I'm like,
hilarious.
sorry. So, but you know, it's just, I love when you can work business
Yeah.
and strengthen family
together.
and create
and your
income.
heart shines for that. When you're in the center of God's will for your life, you can see the passion and it's palpable. You can feel it too. So how can people reach you if they need some advice in their small business? Real quick, because we need to close here in about 30 seconds.
AmyWalkerConsulting.com. It's pretty
Awesome.
easy. AmyWalkerConsulting.com. We've got great resources. We do free trainings and then lots of information on our blog.
Great. Well, reach out to AmyWalker.com. And Amy, it has been such a delight to have you here.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for sharing. Thank you for being courageous with the Me Too. Thank you for sharing your story, because there are many Me Too's out there too. So thank you for joining us today. We love you. Be encouraged. And most importantly, God loves you. And we will see you next time on Friends and Neighbors. And I want to say thank you, Regina, for being on the program with us. And guess what? We are going on a break, and we will be back after this because I want to chat with Miss Regina a little bit more. Amy, thank you again for
You're
being
welcome.
with us.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, inventor of MyPillow. Thanks to your support, you've helped make MyPillow become one of the fastest growing companies in America. Over the last 12 years, you've helped MyPillow create thousands of jobs right here in the USA.
When I got my pillow, I'm asleep almost immediately. I stay asleep at night and I wake up more well-rested in the morning.
That's why I invented MyPillow. My patented fill adjusts to your exact individual needs and helps keep your neck supported and aligned. I'm interrupting this commercial right now. Retailers have canceled MyPillow, and to thank you for your support, I'm gonna pass the savings directly on to you. For example, you get my 6-piece towel sets, regular $109.99, now only $44.98, or MyPillow dog beds for as low as $19.99 with your promo code.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit mypillow.com.
Oh, wow. Welcome back. Sandra, it's just been a great show. And I think right now what we can do is try to encourage someone. Amy really blessed us with her testimony. And one of the things that we need to remember is that no matter what someone has done, no matter what the situation is, forgiveness is always the key.
That's right.
That causes us to walk in the will of God.
Because forgiveness is more for you,
yeah.
right?
Yes.
Because once you forgive, you get so liberated.
Yeah, you are.
And you're absolutely
Very liberated.
right. There's so many silent sufferers out
Yes,
there. We do
yes.
not need to be silent. We
No.
can speak to our Almighty God. And if you don't believe in God, speak to someone who cares. Find that safe person.
Yeah.
But God is the only way.
Yeah.
He is the truth and the light. And I encourage you so much to just look for him, don't you?
Yeah, look for him. We love you. Thank you for tuning in to Friends and Neighbors, and know that God cares.
Amen. That's right.
God bless you.